Welcome to Alien Attack. This is Project 4. Let me do the sample game here. We click anywhere to begin. And we have aliens falling from the sky and we shoot them down. And every one we miss crashes into the shield, and every time we get 10 points they fall a little faster. You can see the health meter disappears as the aliens crash into the shield. We will draw the path for these spaceships. We see our score up in the upper right hand corner. And eventually the alien crashes into the ship and a high score is produced. And you can see we have a crosshair for our cursor. So how do we make this game? We open up Clickteam Fusion 2.5. Okay, and we click File New. Click Save. And we save to our game design folder into Project 4. We call this Alien Attack. Okay, we're going to open up frame 1. And we're going to add our Alien Attack library. So we right click under Local Library. We click New. We locate our game design folder. We go into Project 4. And we find Alien Attack Library. So now we name this Alien Attack Library so we don't mistake it for our project we're turning in. Just double click it to open it. And there we can see all our objects for the game. Now this is a game frame, so I'm going to call this Game. Rename. Game. The background we're going to make black, so I'm going to find my background color here. So I scroll down, I click on the RGB, and I click black. So I'm going to put my Earth down on the bottom, so I grab the Earth, and I right click, Align in Frame on the bottom, right click, Align in Frame, Hurrah Center, right click, Lock. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put up here some spaceships. So I start in my upper left corner. I bring one down slightly to the down and to the right. Another one slightly down and to the right. I only have to draw one path for the spaceship, and all of the spaceships will follow the same path. But once they start to loop, they're going to all look different because they all hit the edge at a different time. So let's work with this. I just click any spaceship. I'd like to start with this one. And I click on the running man option, the movement option. And I click the static stop sign. And I come on up to path movement here. So I'm going to edit the path movement. Now black and black is not going to show up, so I'm going to pick another color, yellow, white, something like that. And I'm going to use the tape mouse direction to tape a path. So I just click on the tape. I tape another movement. I tape another movement. and I just draw whatever path I like all the way to the end. Okay, so I'm going to try my movement, and that's what it looks like. So I can come up here and click stop. Now I can change this if I want. I can drag a button up if I want to subtract a piece. If I don't like that, I can circle on that, and then I just see it's flashing now, and I can click delete, and that will delete that particular section. Or I can delete the whole thing if I want. It's my game, or your game, and you can do it however you'd like. So I can come back here, for example, add another tape mouse direction to come on out. Now I also want to reverse it. I want to reverse the motion so when it comes back here it does the same thing going back the other direction. See what it looks like. Click try movement. So once again it repeats this movement, shows you how it goes back through the movement. Then it stops. So I also, not only do I want to reverse it, I want to loop it so it plays continually. And if it's the way I want it, I just click OK. Okay, so that's my movement. Now I like this movement to reverse as soon as any spaceship hits the right or the left edge. So I'm going to do that in the event editor. I go View, Event Editor, have a new condition, and this is the spaceship in movement, right? So we're going to select a position. We're going to test the position of the spaceship. Is it trying to go out of the frame on the right or on the left? Click on it, try to go out on the right and on the left. So what happens when the spaceship leaves the play area on the right or the left? We want the spaceship to reverse. So I right click here under spaceship, movement, reverse. So now let's see how that looks. Go run, application. So now my spaceships bump to the end and they all start going on their own individual paths. See, that's what I want to happen. So they all look like they're independent, but they're all actually following the same path movement. So I'm going to go back to my frame, my game frame. Okay, so now I've got my spaceships in place, and I want to add the alien. Okay, I want these spaceships to drop an alien. So I'm going to come over here so I would get this gray area. I can see this, and I want to drag the alien up in the gray area because I don't want him to appear automatically. He's going to drop from a spaceship, so he's going to be over here until he appears. So I'm going to go back into my event editor now. View, event editor. And I'm going to have a new condition. And I'm going to put a timer event now. I want to do once every 3/4 of a second. So I click the timer. Every. So I put 0 seconds and 75 100ths. I could just type it in here as well. So I go OK. So every 3/4 of a second, what I want to happen, I want a spaceship to drop an alien. So I'm going to add a condition to my other condition. Just like before, when we've added an action, we can also add a condition. So here we're going to add another condition. So I'm going to insert. So this time we're going to pick a spaceship at random. So I click on spaceship. This is a picker count condition. Pick a spaceship at random. So every 3/4 of a second we're going to pick a spaceship at random. So I'm going to come here to the create box here. I want to create something, don't I? I want to create an alien. So I right click under that and I click create object. So the object I'm going to create is an alien. So I click OK. So where I want this to be? I'm going to want it to be relative to the spaceship. Click OK. So I make the coordinates 0, 0 right from the bottom of the spaceship here. So it's relative to the spaceship, and I click OK. So we're going to create an alien at the bottom of a spaceship every 3/4 of a second. So they're not, the aliens aren't falling yet, but we can look at what this looks like so far. So I'm going to run my application. So you see they're dropping an alien. The alien isn't doing anything just yet, but you see every 3/4 of a second, there they go. So I'm going to go back to the game frame. I'm going to double click game frame. And I'm going to click on the alien. I want the alien to fall. So I click on the movement option here, the running man. I'm going to click my static option, the stop sign here. And I'm going to go up to bouncing ball, non-physical movement. So I'm going to come on down to the bouncing initial direction. And I'm going to erase all the directions, a dotted circle. And I'm going to hit the down arrow at 24 here. That's all I wanted to do, is I want to go straight down. So now I'm going to change the speed of the alien. I'm going to come down to the speed is set at 60. I want to set it at 10. So let's see what this looks like. So I'm going to run my application. So there we go. We have aliens falling. I know it's raining aliens, hallelujah. I don't think so. Poor Earth, right? What we're going to do is we're going to create a shield. So right above the Earth, I'm going to drag the shield. And I'm going to right click this. And I'm going to align and frame. Raw center. I'm going to right click. And I'm going to lock it. I'm also going to put a crosshair up here. What we're going to do is we're going to change our cursor into a crosshair. Okay. So I'm going to insert a new object. This is going to be an interface object. So the interface object I choose is the cursor. I'm going to change my cursor into a crosshair. I click OK. And I click here, and there's my cursor. So now I'm going to go into my event editor. Okay, and the first thing I want to happen is when an alien crosses a shield, I want the alien to die. So I have new condition, alien, collision, another object. He's crossing the shield, right? So the alien collides with the shield. I want the alien to be destroyed. So right click here. And I'm going to click here, destroy. It's the last option. So my next movement is I want to turn the cursor into a crosshair. I'm going to click new condition. I'm going to click the storyboard controls here, and we're going to click start a frame. So when we start the game, what do we want to happen? We want the cursor to change shape. We want it to become a crosshair. So here's a crosshair here. So I right click here. I'm going to set the cursor shape. Now it's the very last bottom object. Set shape from active object. So I come down here. And what's the name of this object? It's called crosshair. So I click under here and I just type it in, crosshair. And I click OK. I'm going to have a condition where when I click on the alien that he's destroyed. So I'm going to click new condition. So I click on the mouse. User clicks on an object. So I click that. So left button single click, yes, and click OK. I click on what? I click on the alien and I click OK. So when the user clicks with the left button on the alien, you want the alien to be destroyed. So you click under the alien and you click destroy. In this particular case, we're going to add a point to the player. So we're going to have to go back to the game. And we're going to have to put a score up here, aren't we? So I'm going to insert a new object. And I click up here on games. And I click score. I click OK and put them up here because black on black is not going to show up. If I'm not at settings, I click on this red check mark and I change numbers to text. So I click on the A next to the running man and I change the color here. I think yellow will go with yellow. I'm going to change to Homa. Some other font style I like. I choose Joker Man. Now I'm going to bump it up. So now I'm going to drag that onto my screen. I've got my score all ready to go. So now I'm going to go back into my event editor. View, event editor. So now when the user clicks with the left button on the alien, not only does the alien destroyed, but my player 1's going to get a point. So I click under player 1 and I'm going to go score, add to score, and I choose 1. Click OK. So now I'm going to have a special effect so that when the alien collides with the shield, he's going to explode. So I'm going to go back to my game frame, double click on game, and I'm going to add a particle to my gray area. So when the alien crosses the shield, we're going to have an explosion effect, and it's going to explode a bunch of these particles. So how do we do that? We're going to go to the event editor, view, event editor. We're going to create a new condition. Click that. We're going to click our special, and we're going to have an on loop condition. So we're going to call this loop explosion. Remember how you spell it because we're going to do this again here. Okay, click OK. So on loop explosion, what do we want to happen? I want the alien launch an object. I know it says shoot an object. We're launching an object. Okay, what is the alien launching? What is he shooting? Particles, right? So click OK. We want to be able to see it, so we're going to slow down the speed from 100 to 50. And we're going to launch in selected directions. So I'm going to choose all directions. That's this button down here. And I click OK. So 50, launch in all directions, right? Click OK. So on loop explosion, we're going to launch that particle in all these directions. Now we've created the loop, but we haven't told it to happen. So when is this loop explosion going to happen? When the alien hits the frame, right? We're going to click under here, under the special conditions here. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to do fast loops. And I'm going to click start loop. So what's the name of our loop? We called it explosion, right? So this is when the alien crosses the shield. We want the explosion to happen. So we go explosion. You click OK. And how many times do you want this explosion to happen? We're going to do it 40 times. Okay, it's going to happen pretty fast, but 40 times will give us a nice effect. See what it looks like. I'm going to run application. So now every time an alien hits its shield, they should explode. Now all the aliens are exploding, right? We only want one particular alien to explode. We want the alien that crosses the shield to explode. So I'm going to add that condition to on-loop explosion. Right click, insert. It's going to be the one that's going to have it happen to is the alien, collision, overlapping another object. When the alien overlaps the shield, right? So the alien that overlaps the shield, that's the one that's going to get the explosion. Now, if we run this, nothing is going to happen because we have an issue. Okay? We have the alien dying before the explosion happens, so no explosion ever happens. What do we do about that? Well, we're going to have to change the order of events. So I'm going to have to go into the event list editor. So I'm going to go View, Event List Editor. So I come on down and see on line 3, when the alien and the collides with the shield, he's destroyed before the explosion happens. I want to change these two events. So all I do is I take the alien being destroyed. Now I'm going to drag the whole thing down below start loop explosion 40 times. Now if I'm going to run this, I'm going to be able to see this effect. Run application. So now we're dropping aliens onto the shield, and the one that hits the shield now is the one that's exploding. Okay? So now I'm going to go back to my frame editor. I'm going to double click on game again. And now I'm going to come back up here. What I want to do is I want to add a health meter. I'm going to turn a counter into a health meter. So I'm going to insert a new object. I'm going to go all objects and I'm going to look for my counter. There it is. See, it says 1, 2, 3 on it. I click OK and I put it up here. Now I come over here to the settings and I come on down and it says type numbers. I don't want the numbers. I want a vertical bar instead of numbers. So now I have a black vertical bar. Have type vertical bar. Now I have the fill type solid color. I click that and I want a gradient. So what do I want for a gradient? I want the first color here to be a red. So I come to a light red. And I want the second color to be a green. So I choose a light green. Okay, so now I'm going to make it this way. And you can do a darker color if you'd rather, it's alright. So I'm going to come back up to the top. And I'm going to change the initial value to 100. Okay, I want it to start at 100 and go back to 0. My highest value is 100. It starts at 100. My minimum value is going to be 0. And my maximum value is going to be 100. Okay. Now one other thing I'm going to change. I want a horizontal bar. I want to change it to go from the left, not from the right. Okay, so I have initial value 100, minimum value 0, maximum value 100. I'm using a horizontal bar. We're counting from the left. It's a gradient. I have color 1 red, color 2 green. And now I have to put this right above the shield, like that. And now I'm going to go into my event editor. Now that health shield is going to go down every time the alien hits a shield. We're going to lose part of the health of the shield. So I'm going to right click here on the counter, and I'm going to go subtract from counter 5. So I click 5 here. So now every time the alien collides with the shield, we're going to destroy the alien and subtract 5 from the counter. So let's see what this looks like. I'm going to run my application. So I'm going to see I get points every time I shoot an alien. And as I miss it, this is getting shorter and shorter. See this? This is eventually going to go away. We're going to add a condition where we're going to increase the difficulty. Every time we kill 10 aliens, we want the alien to fall a little faster. So I'm going to click New Condition. I'm going to go to Special. And I'm going to choose Always. So what do we want to happen at all times? We're going to check to see the speed of the alien. So I click Movement, Set Speed. So now we're going to set speed depending on how many points player 1 has received. So click player 1, current value of the score. So every time he gets 10 points, so I'm going to divide this by 10. Okay, now what I have to explain to you is that division happens even though you get a fraction when it's not exactly 10. The computer's going to disregard that fraction. So every time it comes to where it can be evenly divisible by 10, we're going to multiply that by 5. It's going to go by that multiplier. So when we get 20 points, it's going to go 10. We get 30 points, it's going to go 15. 40 points, it's going to go 20. See how it's going to go just a little incrementally bigger. But it's not going at all, actually, when it starts. So we need to have a starting speed. So I'm going to add 10. So let's see what this looks like. Click OK. Now let's run our application. So here comes the aliens. So I'm coming up. Every time I get 10, they should fall a little faster, which they are. See, so we've got a little more challenge. They're falling a little faster. It's a little harder to kill them. Just like Tetris. Or like Space Invaders, one of those old-fashioned arcade games, right? They just fall a little faster. Now, maybe at this point you decide you want to change the path of your spaceships. You know, maybe you think they're dipping too low and it's too hard to kill the aliens. You decide, you know. So eventually I run out of health, so I want to go to an end frame. So I need to make an end frame, don't I? So let's do this. Let's go back up here to Alien Attack. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a start and an end frame. So I'm going to go Insert, New Frame, Insert, New Frame. So frame 2 I'm going to call Start, rename, Start. And I come on down to frame 3. I'm going to rename this one End. So obviously need to move Start to the start, so I'm just going to drag the game frame down to the second one here. And I'm going to open up my start frame. Now I'm going to pull up my start backdrop here. And I'm going to right click. I'm going to go Align in Frame, Vert Center. Right click, Align in Frame, Horizon Center. Right click, Lock. So now I'm going to insert some text up here that says click anywhere to start. So I'm going to insert new object, and now I'm going to come down to the word text here, and I'm just going to choose a string and click OK. And I go click here, just anywhere. And I click up here and we're right click anywhere to start. Okay, so obviously I don't see this yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the text options here. And I'm going to come on down to the color RGB. You're going to have choose a color that's going to show up. And I'm going to come back up here to Tahoma, and I'm going to change the size and the font. So I'll choose, I don't know, 26 looks good. Yeah, that's pretty big. And I'll come up here, choose stencil. Stencil looks good enough. I'll click OK. So I'll just click here, click twice so I get my sizing handles, and I'll resize this so I can see all the text. Okay, I need to add something, don't I? Need to fix the spelling of click. So come back here to settings, and I just click here, add my eye. There you go. So now I need to make this happen. So I'm going to go into my event editor, go view, event editor, do a new condition. So I click on, choose the mouse, user clicks. It doesn't have to click anywhere in particular, he just clicks. Single click left button, yep. So what I want to happen when the user clicks the left button, I want it to go to the next frame. So I click under here, storyboard controls, right click, next frame. So now we're going to do the last frame here. I'm going to go to end. So I'm going to color up the background here, go down to background color, click that white square, choose black. Now I'm going to put my end backdrop up here. So I'm going to right click it, I'm going to line and frame, raw center, right click, align and frame, vert center, right click, lock. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my high score object. So I'm going to go insert new object. I'm going to choose games from the left. I'm going to choose high score. And I click OK. I just click somewhere. Now I can't see it right. I'm going to come up here to high score. And I'm going to choose A. And I'm going to come on down, choose a color that's going to show up, not black on black, right? Once again, a light color of any kind is going to work. I'll choose yellow. I'll come back up to the top, click Tahoma, and I'll choose whatever style I'd like. Go Joker Man once again, maybe bump it up. So I click here. So here's my high score. Now if you want to, you can put a start button in here. I'm not going to. But once again, you can have the player try again. I'm going to go back into my game frame. I'm going to go to my event editor, view event editor. And I'm going to set a new condition. So we're going to click the counter. Compare the counter to a value. When the counter reaches 0, what do we want to happen? We want to go to the end frame. So I right click next frame. So let's run this game and see what it looks like. Run application. Aliens are falling faster. And you come to the end. Okay? So now what do? You save it, and you go File, Build, Application. And you can still call it Alien Attack if you want, and you can play it outside of the game now. You're all done.